August 1976. The United States mobilized an aircraft carrier, nuclear bombers, and hundreds of troops to cut down a single tree. But before this became the most dangerous landscaping operation in history, 2 American officers were murdered inside the Korean DMZ. At 10:45 a.m., the quiet routine of a maintenance detail inside the joint security area shattered in seconds. Captain Arthur Boniface, a veteran of Vietnam, stood with First Lieutenant Mark Barrett and a team of engineers, their focus fixed on the unruly poplar blocking the view between United Nations command posts. They carried axes, pruning shears, and the assumption that this was just another day in the Demilitarized Zone. Suddenly, North Korean guards closed in. Senior Lieutenant Pak Chul, known for his fierce demeanor, shouted a command. His soldiers surged forward, wielding axes and metal pipes. Boniface was struck first, with blows raining down before he had time to react. Barrett tried to intervene and was hit repeatedly. Panic erupted as the work party scattered, the air filled with shouts and the thud of steel on flesh. Within moments, both officers lay motionless beside the tree. The rest of the team scrambled for cover, the reality of the border's volatility now undeniable. Within hours of the attack, North Korean state media began spinning a new narrative. The poplar at the center of the bloodshed was no longer just a tree. It became a living monument that was said to have been planted by Kim Il-sung himself. This claim, published in official newspapers less than a day after the killings, transformed the poplar into a symbol of national pride and the leader's personal legacy. North Korean broadcasts framed the violence as a heroic defense against foreign aggression, insisting that the Americans had threatened the dignity of the nation by touching the leader's tree. Meanwhile, grainy surveillance footage of the ambush circulated among UN officials and quickly reached Washington, fueling alarm at the highest levels. International headlines warned of a crisis that could spiral beyond the peninsula, with the world's most volatile border now the epicenter of a propaganda battle. The myth of the Kim-planted poplar raised the stakes, pushing the United States to consider a response that would match not just the violence, but the symbolism North Korea had staked on a single tree. Inside the West Wing, the gravity of the crisis settled over President Ford and his advisors. The Situation Room buzzed as intelligence briefings landed one after another, each more alarming than the last. The question was not just how to respond, but how far to go without triggering a wider war. Some argued for a measured reply, warning that any overreaction could draw in the Soviets or the Chinese. Others, staring at the grainy footage of the ambush, insisted that anything less than overwhelming force would be seen as weakness. At 3 a.m. Washington time, the U.S. military in Korea was ordered to DEFCON 3, its highest alert since the Cuban Missile Crisis. The minutes from that meeting capture the sense of peril. Every option carried the risk of spiraling into full-scale conflict. In the end, the decision was made. America would answer with power impossible to ignore. Warships cut through the Yellow Sea as the USS Midway carrier group took position within striking distance of the peninsula. On deck, F-4 Phantom II fighters stood ready for launch. Overhead, 4 B-52 Stratofortress bombers circled at 30,000 feet, broadcasting their presence across the DMZ. The United States moved more than 800 soldiers to the border, joined by 2,000 South Korean troops, forming a perimeter around the joint security area. Combat engineers prepped chainsaws and demolition gear, backed by M60 tanks and M113 armored personnel carriers. Helicopter gunships and artillery units waited on alert, their orders precise: protect the tree-cutting team at all costs. From the air to the sea, every asset was visible, each one a calculated signal. This was not a covert deployment. It was a deliberate show of overwhelming force, designed to leave no doubt about American resolve. Convoys of U.S. engineers and South Korean special forces rolled into the joint security area in broad daylight, engines idling in the charged silence. Armored personnel carriers flanked the work trucks, while M60 tanks took up positions with their barrels angled toward the north. Republic of Korea commandos, some trained in Taekwondo and carrying iron clubs, stood at the ready. Before stepping out, they performed a ritual, striking the dashboards of their own vehicles, a burst of aggression meant to steel their nerves for whatever might come. Overhead, 4 B-52 bombers traced circles at 30,000 feet, their presence impossible to ignore. One commando later recalled, "We moved as if every step could be our last." North Korean soldiers watched from across the line, tense but unmoving. Neither side fired a shot. The message was clear: any interference would bring immediate and overwhelming force. Chainsaws roared at exactly 9 a.m., the start of a 42-minute window that would decide whether the crisis ended in silence or spiraled into war. Combat engineers, flanked by armored vehicles and watched from above by circling bombers, worked with mechanical precision. Each cut sent branches tumbling, while North Korean soldiers stood motionless across the line, their faces unreadable. The tension was sharpened by the knowledge that every second counted. At one point, a radio crackled with a reminder: the team would not stay a moment past 9:42 a.m. By the time the last section of the poplar crashed to the ground, only a 20-foot stump remained, deliberately left as a message. The engineers packed their tools and withdrew, their task complete with just minutes to spare. Later, Henry Kissinger's words from the planning room echoed in the after-action reports. The response must be out of proportion to the provocation. Today, the DMZ remains one of the world's most volatile borders. When symbolism meets firepower, the smallest spark can threaten millions. Deterrence still hangs by a thread. Your thoughts?